United Glasgow is a football team. It's changed over time. It used to be a football team predominantly set up to combat racism and to provide asylum seekers and refugees with access to structured football.
Well, the club started in 2011 when I was volunteering with a charity called Unity in the Community. And what we were finding was a lot of the young asylum seekers, particularly young men who were coming to Glasgow, were feeling very isolated because they didn't have family units, they didn't have social groups, they didn't have the money to get involved in sports groups, and they couldn't work and they couldn't get into education. And what seemed to be the uniting factor amongst them all was that they all wanted to play football. They all saw themselves as the next Messi or Ronaldo. So it was a good opportunity to get people out of the house, basically. So it started off with just a handful of us running around the public parks, and then gradually it built into the club that we've got today. We didn't want to just be a team that was only representing one community, so we decided quite quickly that what the purpose of the club was about bringing people from different communities together so they would meet each other through their shared passion for football. But also we would be removing the barriers to people taking part, so it wouldn't just be a case that you could go to play in a football team and meet new people if you could afford it, or if you happen to be particularly good enough to play in that team, which I think realistically is how a lot of teams operate. They take players who are good enough to play for them rather than people who want to play for them.
Not longer any specific to anti-racism, it's kind of branched out to include anti-sexism and anti-homophobia. Being in Glasgow as well, we're quite conscious of sectarianism being caught between Rangers and Celtic, Catholics and Protestant as well. So considering we've got a lot of people from outside Glasgow, we think it's kind of important that people are aware to the local vices as well as what affects the country nationally.
Effectively, since day one, the club's been about bringing people together rather than necessarily getting points on the boards when it comes to being on the pitch. And it's been a really interesting journey in terms of getting asylum seeker and refugee players together with young Scottish guys who are facing the same problems around football being prohibitively expensive and not having a great deal of other opportunities available to them.
I left my country because after I finished high school, I got the opportunity to go to study abroad. Unfortunately, they gave me a proposal to go to Russia to study, so it's either take it or leave it. But for me, it was an opportunity of my life. I decided to take it, and that's why I moved. So I moved to go to study. That's, it's not a place you will choose to immigrate or move there to live forever or something like that. So I would just went there to study. Before I moved to Russia, I never live abroad. I never even probably know just a couple of cities inside my country, and it was very, very difficult, to be away from your family. I used to live in Moscow for many years. It's a very tough country. It's, the racism exists there in a large scale. So, I tend to ignore those kind of things because I know that at least, it's not kind of physical, and compared to Russia, it's very physical. You are even afraid to walk on the street. So, where that never will happen in the UK, that you're afraid to walk on the street just because who you are. My wife is from Northern Ireland, and I've been there many times, to Belfast. I remember every time you try to go during the Christmas, they will stop you just after the ferry, but you're walking with too many different people, but you see, no one stopped before you and no one stopped after you. But why? Why someone stopped you? It's because you look different. That's why, you just became a suspect. It's very, very frustrated. I remember I reacted very angry once and told them that I will make an official complaint because why I should be stopped every time I try to cross. Yeah, I will be stopped asking for document of where I'm going, what I came here to do. I should have a freedom to work like everybody else.
Did he win? You've got 7 seconds. Check.
My name is Sabil Satchalhazer. So, Sabil. My nickname, what people like to call me, is the Fist, because of the gargantuan size of this fist that you see before you. No big deal. But anyway, I play for the development team of United Glasgow, and I'm a winger. I'm originally from Pakistan. Was born and raised in Islamabad, which is the capital. I personally can't say I've been discriminated against or I deal with it in my everyday life. It's something I don't see very often either, but you do know that it exists because you hear about it on the news, you hear about it on the TV, and you hear your other people you know have issues with it. So therefore, you do know it exists, but I've been very fortunate that I've been around a good bunch of people and I've fortunately not had to deal with it because people, I think, generally are against that here. Oh, that's my feel of it, that people generally are very welcoming in Scotland and they're very nice people, and often enough they won't be discriminatory or racist. So
United Glasgow, especially at grassroots level football, have taken like a firm stance against anti-racism and anti-homophobia and everything like that, where you see big Premier League clubs, for example. There was this big thing about Chelsea and the Paris Saint-Germain match. They had a black guy kicked off the train, and yeah, Chelsea released a statement saying, you know, we are not against this, but it's a big difference doing it when you're a world-renowned football club rather than a grassroots football club. And I think for a grassroots football club to do something like that, it takes a lot of balls to do it, and I'm pretty glad they're doing it.
When we went to Germany, we were playing against a team called FC Lampedusa.
Refugees that used to live in Italy or asylum seeker, so they created a team.
One of the more eventful games, we were 2-0 down after 20 minutes, and we managed to go in 2 each at half time, and we eventually ran out 4-2 winners, which to this day I still can't figure out. I don't understand what was happening. There was a lot going on after the game. We were doing a couple of interviews. We were trying to get a big group photo taken. Severiano was in there. He's a fairly imposing figure. And he got in there and he pulled one out by the scruff of the neck. The other one was like, guys, we need unity, we need unity. And we just thought, Sevy, you just encapsulate the spirit of what we're trying to do.
They started fighting, I don't know why, just try to, to make them understand there's no point in doing that. They're showing those kind of negative message to the people. There is 100 people there, German, that went there to support them. It's not good to see them fighting one another. There should be, have a union between them. They should be together.
The club aspect comes in where the organisation of, of putting the team on the park, making sure that they act accordingly when they're on the park, representing the team in the right fashion. But then the family aspect comes because it is just such a variety of people, such a variety of ages, abilities, ethnicities, religions, all that kind of thing. no one person thinks they're better than the other, which I think is a really contributing factor to the general culture around the club.
And hippies, and people want something to believe in, and they want something to support, and even if it's just for a small number of people, even if it's just for one city or part of one city, I'm delighted that we can be that. And I think that over the last couple of years we've shown that we can be a vehicle for change, either of individuals' ideas or for wider things in football.